Hello, and welcome to The Rare Agent, where we pull back the curtain on all things real estate. We're your hosts, Christina, Mary Jo, and Murray, offering up a judgment-free space for collaboration over competition. Well, today is just the three of us, and I'm very excited.
I think it's the first time.
Yeah.
First time since we've started that it's just been the three of us, which is kind of nice.
Mm-hmm. Our long-term listeners, we are your hosts. Well, we just want to talk about what's happening in our world of real estate right now. We're the experts, and I thought maybe we should just talk about it. Talk about what's going on in your businesses.
Yeah, I think, for us, it's been like a dance, right? We still have a lot of business, so we're very grateful. But we do see more stress in people. We're definitely seeing things are not as straightforward as they have been.
Mm-hmm.
We've been very fortunate in the last 10 years to have such a strong market where people made a lot of money and, you also needed a lot of money to purchase. So now, there's definitely a little bit of a correction in the market.
Well, and the rates have been good for so long, right?
Yes.
We've seen rates below 3% for a record amount of time.
But although there is a correction, the interest rates are so high now that it's still making it really difficult for buyers to purchase, which is kind of what we're running into. It's like, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Does that even make sense? I always try with these sayings, but they don't always work.
It's how much, knowing exactly how much the property is going to sell for.
Yeah,
it's definitely depending on the property, location. Its strategy is not this. Like, not every strategy works ever across the board.
No, you have to try them all.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we've learned holding back offers doesn't necessarily work anymore, and it's very, very like you have
but
to.
It is still working. It is actually.
But I was
still
just going to
working.
say, it has to be a very specific location. It has to be the right product at the right price.
Yeah.
It's very much about strategy.
Yes, it's true. Yeah. And it's usually, I'm noticing, around the 1 million mark, they still do work. Once you're getting over 1.3, it's becoming really more difficult to actually do that.
Or if you're in a market where there's nothing, if there's really nothing available, then you have a shot.
Yeah.
But if there's a lot of product on the market at the same time, then it's not the best idea.
And we are seeing an increase in product right now.
Oh, yeah.
So it'd be interesting. It's also weird because it's just before Christmas. So it's not really a true market either. It's kind of like, okay, if you compare it to Christmas, around this time last year, sure, it's, there's more available, I believe, but it's still kind of a weird market to judge.
A lot of people waiting until spring, or they have that feeling like, okay, well, let's just take it off and wait till spring because of the holidays. But what we're noticing with our current listings is the buyers that are out are real buyers.
Yeah.
These guys are serious. It's not your neighbors.
Yeah.
It's these are people are here. They're here to buy. They probably have a rate that's locked in, and they need to use it soon.
And yes, exactly. And on one of our listings, you can't just put a property up and just wait, right? On one of our listing, we tried one strategy. Didn't work out the way we wanted to. We got some information from it. And then we kind of pivoted and did a different marketing strategy. And we did notice an increase in showings and interest and questions. And then we got to the bottom of what was holding buyers back. And we realized it was a kitchen. So then we said, okay, how do we solve this problem? So we did some renderings and put it up and said, sellers are willing to correct this prior to closing. You have to think outside the box. You can't just be sitting there going, oh, it's not selling. You have to have a good team of people that can move in and do what you need. We probably would have actually redone the kitchen. We were just going to paint the cupboards. But because of the timing and it's right before Christmas, we just decided to do it this way instead.
It's feedback. This is where paying attention to feedback, I think, really matters.
Oh, and calling people. So I actually called clients of mine that have been very casually looking over the last 3 years. But this is literally the perfect location for them. It's a really good house, and it's probably at a price where they wouldn't have been able to get a house like this for this price before. So I had to think outside the box again and not just wait for somebody to come to the listing. I had to call them and say, hey, I have this. What do you think? Why don't you go and have a look at it? Let's go, see if it works for you guys. And now they're thinking about making an offer. They're talking to their mortgage broker today. So otherwise they wouldn't have thought of it, right?
I think there's been such a pivot from seller's market to buyer's market, and there's a lot of confusion between the two. Sellers are still expecting prices that are no longer existing, and buyers are still waiting for the bottom. And now it's up to us to sort of educate them both and just say, look, this is where we're at, and here's some of the factors or the reasons why we're in this position. I had a client call me this morning just to talk about that, just talking about how there's 300 million mortgages coming up in the next year. Anybody who locked in 5 years ago is likely coming up for a mortgage and
buying at their max, and now they're coming up to their
renewal.
renewals.
Yeah, if they like that. Let's say they locked in at 2%, and now they're renewing at 5.5, 6%. So there's a lot of questions around that, and I think that's maybe what's holding back a lot of buyers, because they're saying, okay, well, is this the bottom? But I think,
but it's really important to pay attention to the patterns, right? So on a personal level and as well as in our business. So if you look at the pattern psychologically of people, everybody goes into a frenzy when everybody else is doing it. But if you notice, like, look what happens. You all did that at the same time and you overpaid at that time, but that was market value at that time because of the frenzy.
Yeah.
So it's like created by you, but then you actually are kind of benefiting, but then not benefiting. But then when you see things shift, rather than do the same thing and just wait to see what everybody else is doing, why don't you be the one to do something different?
well, especially if you're in a position now where you can negotiate the price, you're not in competition, you are you can get a home inspection, you get a financing condition, like you're in a position of power that you haven't seen in a long time. What's your motivation? Are you buying it for investment? Or are you buying it for long term? If you're buying it for long term, why wouldn't you take advantage of this opportunity now?
People who have
real estate is on sale.
exactly
It is on sale. Like that is
Should be
what
a tagline.
Yeah.
That is I went to that conference this last week, and that's what we were saying. Like, real estate is on sale. Like, we are seeing sellers.
People don't want it when it's on sale.
No, they think there's something wrong with it.
Like, I want everybody else
That's
to
what
want
I'm
it
talking
before
about,
I
the
want it.
psychology and the patterns, and
Yeah.
pay attention to those things.
Exactly. But I am noticing with my listings, the analytics on the back end of who's looking at them. And I'm noticing now the analytics are up. People are on MLS. People are looking at properties. They are. So I feel as if
There's a bit of a shift.
the bit of a shift where maybe we won't feel the beginning of a shift where it's like now people are, okay, well, let's see what's out there, since the market is actually, people are feeling a little bit more optimistic about pauses. Like, I think the rates were paused again. So people are feeling, okay, like we can make a decision and feel like we're making an educated one, and we're not in the middle of a change. Where I think us seeing lots of people looking on realtor.ca or watching our videos, that is just the beginning of maybe the January market that we kind of are more used to, where these people that are on the sidelines are waiting for January to see what will happen.
Yeah.
Well, I think we just had Aaron on who just told us like inflation is down. So that's a positive marker in the right direction. And the fact that rates have paused. So yeah, I think January is, looking to be a bit more positive than what we've seen.
Yeah.
Probably a lot of the listings that have been sitting around now will likely be snapped up.
Yeah,
in
because I think
January.
if they think, okay, if it's pausing, the next step is either to raise them because whatever would happen, maybe they have to raise, or lower them. And what will happen in our market if they lower them? It will become like May.
Exactly.
And the bond and the fixed rates have decreased already from what I've been reading.
There's a lot more options for sure.
Yeah, a lot more different financing options if you want to lock in.
So it's up to us as the professionals to educate our clients, right? We can't to be honest, it's been a lot easier over the last 10 years to sell real estate. And now you actually have to use your skills more. I mean, we have been, but a lot of agents who didn't have a lot of experience could have just gone out there and, did deals.
Well, the
because
houses
it was super
generally
easy.
sold themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now you actually have to really hone your skill and your skill set and really focus and negotiate and also educate.
And how to talk to those I know that I've been getting more calls from buyers on my listings, and even educating those buyers, like
Mm-hmm.
being open with them, being collaborative with those people, because those are the ones that are actually going to bring you an offer right
We
now.
were just talking about this. Now, you know, we have listings that are lasting longer than 7 days.
Mm-hmm.
And we're actually getting people calling on our signs and on realtor.ca, and leads are coming in. And it's funny. It's now we actually have to work with buyers that we haven't done that in a while.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right. Like it's a totally different mindset.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're working way more with buyers than we have been with sellers,
Mm-hmm.
and trying to show them like, here's the benefit of, you know, or showing them a bunch of properties and different options, where we didn't do that for a while,
Yeah.
right? They just
You
came
like
to
that
us.
house? Okay, let's go and put an offer.
Yeah, you don't have any choices. Let's just buy
I
this
know
one.
the agent. Let's go.
Exactly. You want that one? Let's go.
That's what it mattered, though, eh? Knowing the agent
Oh,
in
yeah.
multiples, like it mattered. Your relationships mattered with
Oh,
other agents.
absolutely.
Oh,
Because
yeah,
that's
for
what was going
sure.
to get you in.
Yeah, just even that second conversation, like that
Yes.
second, like that. Okay, so you're in the middle. Okay, we're in the middle. Like, you know, that just being able to, those relationships matter so much in this business.
Well,
Like having-
they still do. I think what's mattering most for us is follow up
Oh, yeah.
more than anything. Like all of the leads that we're getting now, it's education.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're finding that we're having to educate people quite a bit about, because everybody has so many questions about what the market's doing. Where is it going? What do you think is going to happen? Obviously, none of us have a crystal ball, but we can tell you we've been in the business for 20 years. We've seen this cycle before. It's not the first time, you know, and there's lots of variables that actually affect the market. It's not one thing. We know that there's immigration coming in. We know that there's not enough supply for the amount of people coming in. We know that developers are going down, like they're not building. So what's going to happen ultimately?
It's very short-sighted. A few people that think it is, that what is happening now is going to stay.
Yeah, the demand is still there.
Yeah.
It's just kind of paused right now because of the shock and, you know, the readjustment. And a lot of people did not plan accordingly, right? They did not plan for this could possibly happen.
Well, 20 months of increases,
Yeah.
right? Straight increases for the last 20 months.
And some people were just living kind of paycheck to paycheck and just making bills, you know, and those are the people that are having trouble now, you know. There's options, and it's just really important for people to kind of, I noticed that people go into this like dissociative state where they're just kind of like pretending there's no problem for a while, and then by the time it really hits them, it's almost too late. So it's really important right now to talk to somebody who knows about finances if you don't, you know, and just really be aware of your situation and don't go into this like avoidance. We
Avoidant,
all
yeah.
do it. You know, we've all done
Absolutely.
it.
But we had Robin Thompson on here who was amazing at that. Like she really
Yeah.
I think what we're trying to do with this podcast really is to educate people as much as we can with our guests, you know, just by showing them all the different ways that they can save money or invest or, you know, protect themselves against
Self-aware,
yeah.
big self-awareness,
Yeah, and being
self-conscious.
educated in a way, and if you're not educated in that way, having somebody back you up who is, or, you know, having the right people around you that can help you plan. It's really important to plan right now. I'm not much of a planner. So for me, it's been, you know, it's a real thing. I had to get real. I have kids, you know, I have responsibilities. I can't just keep flying by the seat of my pants. I have to be real about things, right? So like just waiting for something to fall apart is not an option.
No, we have to be proactive in this business for sure.
The market is changing so much. We're going to need to use our skills, and then they throw on Tressa on top. It's like we're all fish out of water.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to talk about Tressa? Because I don't have enough information about it. To
I don't
really-
know enough about it. I shouldn't have done a showing on Saturday. That's all I know.
It started. I thought it was January. No.
It started. It started December 1st.
Oh.
So like
Yeah.
any conversation you're having on the phone
Should
with
we
somebody.
continue here?
Yeah, like
Dude,
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can
We can
continue. Okay,
continue.
Chris is already continuing. He's not waiting for us.
Oh, I'm running. I just make notes for where to cut.
oh, okay.
He's rolling.
Yeah. Like I was at a party the other day and the guy sent me the guide, the Tressa guide. And
At a party? What kind of party is this?
oh, there was other realtors
That's
there.
terrible.
This is the problem. When other realtors are there, they start talking real estate.
Oh God.
So
boundaries.
I've literally said something to somebody like, "Oh, I heard you don't need to get that signed," and like, "Yes, you do." And I'm like,
1,000% you do.
out of like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I thought they just needed to receive it in their email." Like, there's so much misinformation out.
No,
that
that's the thing. I don't think that Treb really prepared us for what is about to happen with all
No,
these.
I
new-
just saw something about Tressa in my calendar, and I jumped on this Zoom call. I was like,
Well,
"What?"
I sent
hell?
back a message. I'm like, "What's Tressa?"
What? I'm like,
when I started like
I am
watching
not
the video, I'm
prepared.
like, "Oh my goodness, my whole job is changing. The way I
everything.
do my paperwork." So I'd like today, I had to do a price change and a relist, and I was like. Like a
It's all new
cancellation.
it's all new forms.
Yeah, I was like, let's just do a price change because I'm not sure to do this party yet.
maybe
Right?
it's time to pivot. I'm not ready for that.
Yeah, like this guy sent me this guide and I'm looking at it. It's like 15 pages. And he's like, you can't talk to anybody until they sign this. I'm like,
And they get a
"Well, what do you
working with a
mean?"
realtor sign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't,
I
you
told
can't
my
take
friend
a-
that today, and she's like, "You're crazy." She's like, "What are they doing to us?" I'm
well,
like,
and
"Yeah."
especially to somebody you don't know. Like,
Yeah.
let's say you got a lead now off of wherever. And like this just happened to me. I got a lead and they're like, "Hey, we want to go see this property." And it happens to be one of our listings. I'm like, "Okay, great." And then I was at this party and he's like, "Did you get the Tressa form signed? The information guide?" I'm like, what guide? What are you talking about? Like, I don't know.
Oh my God.
So he sent it to me and it's a 15-page thing that you have to actually send to this person that you don't know to sign before you can show them or even discuss a property. You cannot discuss a property with anybody unless it's signed.
Yeah, like you can't use any
like,
of our
what do you
services.
mean? We can tell them the information that's out there,
That it's a
like that's
detached
already there.
property.
Yeah, you can say
Yeah.
information,
But you can't give them any
say-
advice or opinions on the property unless it's been signed. I
So
think
for
there's-
our
my God.
our audience that doesn't know, I think we picked up the conversation, but there's a new
guidelines,
ethics act,
New RICO.
a new RICO that's called Tressa. And
So is Rico gone?
no,
I don't know.
it's
Oh, it's just
Reba's
in
gone.
addition. It's an
No,
addition.
Reba's gone.
Reba's gone.
Reba's
Yeah.
gone.
And they're amalgamating everything and they're changing everything. And a lot of it has to do with representation.
And disclosure.
yeah.
Like you have to disclose everything that's
We
happening.
already disclose everything, so but now we just have to make sure it's
well,
all
it's all in
written.
writing.
Yeah, like if you so every listing which you already
Mm-hmm.
have each other on, but then now your licensed assistant needs to be on that listing.
well, so here's
But what
a
if
perfect
we don't have a
example.
licensed assistant? What if our
No,
assistant's
no.
unlicensed?
I mean, she means a buyer's agent.
Oh,
Perfect example is if we leave the country
Mm-hmm.
and we want somebody to watch our business, they can't unless they're on the listing.
Yeah, you have to amend it and
You
bring
have to
them
do
in.
an
like
amendment.
on the MLS listing,
No,
like their name
it's
has
in
to
the
be on
paperwork.
It's a paper,
just the paperwork.
Yeah, you have to get
Yeah, I
something signed
remember
that allows them to act on your behalf.
Yeah.
And everybody has to agree that they're acting on your behalf. Yeah. Fun.
So annoying.
It's fun.
I wonder if
Like
that's
our
for
job
open
needs
houses
to be
too.
more confusing. But how are all these agents that don't even follow the current rules going to manage this?
I don't know.
It's just it leaves us a lot of open ended to get.
Do you think they're trying to squeeze agents out?
Oh,
Like
absolutely.
people who are just not.
Well, I noticed that they've extended the fees until
January
January 15th, which leads me to believe that there's a lot of people out there who are not.
Well, there's a group of 10,000
well.
people that didn't want the new healthcare that they were offering us.
Oh, there's another hot topic.
Yeah.
What's it called? Orwip? Do we even know what it's called?
I just
This
know
new-
it.
Is that a hot
OR.
topic? I don't know. I don't find that's very hot.
It's annoying. It's another annoying thing that's happening to us. I don't think people realize the amount
annoying
of
thing,
fees that
yes.
we're forced to pay.
Yeah.
Whether we want to or not. Like
No, our clients think we're like millionaires.
I know.
Like just packing in the money. Like
I can't tell you how
the amount
another
we
client said that to
spend.
me the other day. He's like, "Oh, you're rich." I'm like, "What? We are 100% commission based.
Yeah.
100%. So that means that we don't get benefits. We pay for our car. We pay for the
Well, what
dentist.
about mat leave? I'm like,
Mat
what
leave.
mat leave?
Exactly. Like
Did you get mat leave? I'm like, what mat leave? No,
I
I had
worked.
my baby on my arm as I'm like doing
Showings.
showings. No,
Yeah.
I remember I was 9 months pregnant and walking through this snowstorm to get to the door that wasn't like there was no shoveling. And my clients were like, and it was one of those situations they had to see it because the offers were that evening.
Yeah.
And I was literally about to go into labor and I was trekking through that snow, digging for the lockbox
Yeah.
like a Buddha.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was.
There's so
that's
many
our
women,
life.
like lots of women, like in the hospital bed after having a baby.
I did a deal
Yeah.
after C-section.
Yes.
A day after my C-section,
too.
my
Yeah.
clients came to the hospital so that they could sign the paperwork.
Yes.
Like
They came to the
my kidney
hospital?
transplant, I left. I got a leave of absence from the hospital so I could go show a property.
Okay,
You're-
that's
you're just
nuts. You're just on another level of nuts.
Well, here's another example. I went to show a property that was condemned, and I was wearing a very long sweater. And I remember walking into the property, and I'm like, it smelled like 1,000 cats had peed in it. Like it was really bad, and I was attacked by fleas.
Oh my God.
Attacked by fleas. I walked out of there within 5 minutes, and I had to take my sweater off because I was literally covered in,
Oh
in
my
bites.
God.
That's what we do for our clients.
Yep.
Like,
Okay, I didn't do the flea thing.
Wow.
That-
I had a listing with fleas. It was awful.
I refuse now. I'm like, if this house is condemned, I'll see you later. You go and you have a look, and I'll wait outside.
no, we just, yeah, exactly.
I would go and I would get undressed in the backyard and then get dressed.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was I was
This is
doing
the
it.
underbelly of real estate.
Yeah, like and I'm like
It's not
sitting there.
luxurious, guys. Let's be
No.
real. There's nothing luxurious. Like, I have these really nice shoes, and my friends are always like, why do those shoes look like that? I'm like, because I'm a realtor.
Yeah.
I'm walking on construction sites
Absolutely.
in my fancy shoes. You know, I'm like jogging up the street in my fancy shoes or around the house in the
Yeah.
dirt. Like, there's no luxury.
No, but
Have you
people
ever
are so
walked
used
into
to
a car
watching.
dealership asking for hot water to open up a lockbox?
Oh, yes. Actually, yes.
I've broken nails.
Oh, yeah.
Many times on frozen lock boxes, or I've gone on treasure hunts looking for them, which I'm sure all of us have.
Oh, how about in condo buildings?
Oh, yeah, on
Yeah.
the fences when there's like 1,000 lock boxes.
Like, tell us where your lockbox. Describe it.
do you want to sell this property or not? I don't know. I get the feeling you don't.
Annoying.
I wonder why it's been on for 35 days.
Yeah.
But
because you
okay,
can't get
so
it in.
so going back to that, okay, so why are properties sitting? Listen, it's a different market. They're gonna sit, but you still got to do something. Like you
yeah.
can't just throw up a sign on a lawn and be like, okay, let's wait and see what happens. No, you have to present the property. You're leaving your clients with questions about, did I get the best value for my property? You're leaving them with questions because you haven't put your full, efforts in. Like you have to present the property well. You have to have professional pictures. It's crazy that we still have to say this, but I see all kinds of stuff out there, and these poor people have no idea that they're not being represented properly.
Well, also people don't realize that like when you want to haggle somebody on commission,
Yeah.
You get what you pay for.
you get what you pay for.
Yeah,
And
I was looking online the other day, and I was looking at a bunch of listings that I was sending to a client, and just looking at the photos. One person had posted one, and the photos were sideways, upside down, obviously taken with a phone.
Yeah.
I'm like, I wonder if this client has even looked at their listing online to see
Yeah.
how it's been presented. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I bypassed it.
Yeah. And what do? You can't go to the client and be like, hey, check your realtor. Like, you can't do that. You're not allowed to do that. So it's just they're going to lose out.
It's unfortunate.
I actually had a client who I've been working with since probably about at least 10 years, 12, probably actually 12 years. And they came to me because their agent couldn't sell their house and they had already purchased. And somebody referred them to me. I sold their house in a week. Their agent had it on the market for like almost 2 months at the time. And I sold it within a week because I
did
went
you
in
do
there.
anything different with pricing?
It was the same asking price, but I went in there and I staged it. We staged it in a day.
And marketed it
It
differently.
wasn't even like a lot of staging, but it was just like moving things
Cleaning it
around,
up.
cleaning it up, decluttering, like putting things away, taking proper
Presentation.
pictures. And then they started getting showings, and then they actually got a couple offers, right? So these clients bought and sold with me probably about 4 or 5 times. And every time over asking, we did the same thing every time. And we don't do different things for expensive listings. Every listing we get gets the same type of attention, whether it's expensive, whether it's a small bachelor, it doesn't even matter. Because we always want to do our best. This last time, the client asked me to sell a bachelor, actually, and asked me to cut my commission. And I said no. I said no because I know what I'm going to put into the property. It's already like I'm not making a lot of money and I have to pay a whole team to do this, right? So I said no, but I guarantee that whatever you're saving or you would be saving on the commission, I'm going to get you that and then some on in the negotiations or in the, the marketing, the presentation. And so they decided to go with another agent who charged them 1%. And it sat on the market for, I think, at least, I don't know, on and off. I think they changed the price a couple times, but it was there for like 2 months. And finally they came back and said, look, we just want you to do it. So I went in, we staged it, took pictures, had it back up less than a week, and got an offer a week later at the price that they had it already listed for before. And she even wrote me
A really nice testimonial.
saying, we went with another agent, like very, very humble. We went with another agent. You get what you pay for, right? So it's just really important for us to actually stand for our value, right? Like not undercut ourselves because
Well, we know our value though. Like we know what we put into our business.
Exactly.
How much time and effort and money we spend.
And I would rather not take a listing than not be able to put my best foot forward.
I think at the end of the day, what people need to understand is with 100% commission, we work really, really hard and we're very dedicated to our clients. And so for us, it matters when somebody comes to us and says, we don't want to pay you your full commission. And we're like, okay, well, all this effort and all this time we put behind our work and we do it for every client, it doesn't make sense. We run our business like a business all year round. So we want people to understand like everybody's treated the same, everybody's treated equally, and we put our best foot forward no matter what we do.
Yeah, and we have an energy of abundance, right? So everything we put in, we know we will get it back on some level. It might not even be from the same listing. There's definitely been times that we've put more into a deal than what we get back, but we know that it's going to come back in another way. So I wish that our clients could have that similar perspective of, you know what, I want to pay my agent what they're worth, and they are worth, what the going rate is. And I know that on the other side, they're going to get me everything that my property deserves and more.
And it's a long-term relationship. It's not like the deal's done, you're never going to see us again.
Exactly.
Most of our clients we have throughout our careers. Like, we all have clients that we've probably had since the beginning of our career, as well as the referrals that came with that. So for us, it's like, it's not a one-time transaction and we treat it that way. We know that we're going to see you again. We know that we want you to be happy with the end result from beginning to end.
And at this part in our career, I think for us, it's like we want it to feel good. You know, we want to feel good about what we're doing. We want our clients to feel good about what we did and their experience, and we want the best possible scenario. So I personally don't want to be doing something feeling like it's not aligned with who I am or with my value, and I think that that's really important for us to keep in mind, because in every situation, right? Like whether it's personal life, whether it's business, you have to keep your standards and you have to keep your value and be aware of it. Because I don't want to do something that doesn't feel good. I don't want to feel like I'm being taken advantage of or used or not appreciated. I don't want that feeling. So I'm just not going to allow it. And I believe you just attract more abundance in that situation.
Well, it's relationship based, right? Everything is relationship based. So, it doesn't matter whether it's a real estate transaction or whether it's a friendship or your partner in life. Like, it's respect, mutual consideration, teamwork. You need all of those things no matter what you're doing.
Yeah. Sorry.
That's okay. No, I just think in my business now, I've been doing it for so long that like the people know that when they call me, they know what to expect. They know that I'll be full hands on. I have a team that helps me and they don't have to worry about anything. But I have a question for you.
A referral wouldn't know that, right? Like, they only know what somebody's told them. So you're still like,
oh yeah. Well, my business is 98% referral.
Yeah.
So it's most of the people that I work with, I know in some capacity, or they've heard of me from somehow. I think this year is my first year where I've converted a Facebook lead.
oh wow,
Yeah, I've never done that. Like I never had like that. so random, and it came with a really awesome listing behind it, and it was just, which also makes me think that like I need to explore that option as well. Like maybe I'm really good over the phone that I can show my.
I think it's that sexy voice.
I don't know. Is it my nasal voice now or what?
It's the Rare podcast. Ooh la la. I like it.
Thanks. I think it's just like, just get real low.
Yeah.
Hello, we're on the
I don't
CHFI.
think I can do that. It's either high or whisper.
You guys just got weird.
Marie's gonna bring on her nails and start doing ASMR.
I can't do it. I think it's very soothing.
Thank you. I'd rather people feel soothed than anxious when they hear my voice.
Absolutely.
Definitely don't want anxiety.
Yeah,
No.
definitely.
I think we're at a time of lead conversion though in general. Like everything's going to be online, or like we have to get comfortable with the idea of converting leads from online, Facebook, internet, wherever. Like we didn't have the time for that before,
no.
because things were just selling so quickly, but now it's different.
Yeah. For sure.
You said you had a question.
Oh, okay. So my question for you guys would be, you have a client who wants to hire you, but doesn't want to listen to your advice on price. How do you deal with them?
I think it depends on how far off we are and whether or not I believe that there's a possibility that we could get the price that they want. I would say, this is what I think. This is what I think we're going to get for it. If you really feel strongly about this price, if it's within reason, I would say, let's give it a shot and give it a couple weeks and see the response. Worst case scenario, we can adjust later. If we're really off and I just don't even think it's possible, I would just say, I don't think I'm the right person to work with you at this point, because I can't do something that, doesn't align with what I believe in my expertise. So
it's also your time and like you're investing your time and your resources into something that is going to ultimately fail.
Yeah.
So why would you set yourself up for failure?
No,
and
exactly.
your client and waste all that time for both of you, right? It doesn't make sense. So
because if they know this person is willing to walk away from my listing rather than price it at this price, then maybe I need to really reconsider. It gives them like that moment to pause and just actually really consider what they're thinking. Also, we back it up. We're not just going to be like, no, we can't do this.
Yeah.
We're going to show them. We're going to do everything possible to be like, look, this is what's happened. This is how we've adjusted the price. This is why we believe this. This is the statistics, like we show them everything.
Yeah.
And then if after that they're just not, listening, I also then think, well, maybe this is just going to be a very difficult relationship in general.
Yeah.
If the client doesn't trust you enough or listen to your expertise, that's not going to be the only problem. There's going to be issues throughout. And I would rather leave a good, positive, relationship than have it blow up.
Overpriced
later.
listings in general, I think, are very costly on both ends, though, because if you start off at the wrong price and you're at a time in the market where it's probably a good time for you to try and sell it before things, start to get worse. Because how many times have we chased the market down? So if you try and talk to your client and say, listen, the market is going in this direction. Here's the trend. Here's what's happening. You can show them all the information. And if they still don't agree with you, I agree with Marae. Like, maybe you're just both wasting your time.
And also,
and then you're going to regret it after.
Even if it's not even the timing sometimes, even if it's just an overpriced listing in general, they're going to leave money on the table at some point if that's how they started, right?
Yeah,
so
and what's
you're
their
not doing them
motivation
a
for
service.
selling? Are they motivated to sell, or are they just testing the market? Because then you have to question whether it's worth it for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Because then you're wasting your time and your resources on somebody who's not serious. Right? And it should be a team effort. Like I think anytime you get involved with a seller or a buyer, you should both have the same goal to actually purchase something or actually sell something. Like that is your goal. What is your timeline? Do you have to sell? What is your motivation? Or we're not new agents, right? I remember being a new agent. We spun our wheels.
We took everybody.
We took everybody. We didn't ask any
everything.
questions. We didn't qualify. We just did everything.
Yeah.
And how much time did we waste? Right?
A lot.
Like we should be seasoned enough at this stage in our lives where we know this is a time waster for both of us. Right.
And it's also like creating, so if I'm creating a situation where I'm going to be resentful, that's not going to feel good to me or to the other person. It's like we want a certain outcome, but we have to set ourselves up to achieve that outcome rather than blaming somebody else. I have to have my boundaries. This is how I see things. I could be right or wrong, but I have to believe in my own intuition and my own expertise. And that's how I've built my business. And that's how MJ and I have built our business. And And so if at that point it doesn't align with the client, then we have to decide to not, go further, because I would rather just have a good relationship with a person.
How would you deal with it?
Well, partly I'm asking is because I'm dealing with something similar. So it's kind of
Every situation is different.
yeah,
obviously.
it's a different. It didn't start out that way. So it's one of those things where I'm just finding myself being like, I told you so.
Yeah.
I told you so. Like,
And that's not a fun position. to
No,
be in.
it's not a fun. It's
Nobody
not. I
wants
don't
to be
feel
in that
good
position.
about it.
No,
Like,
you don't want to be right about that.
I'm like, I told you so. Like, we talk all the time, and we, your line of, we're going to be chasing down the market. I said that line months ago.
Yeah.
And now they're like, people say, oh, I
And
know.
it's probably a perfect example of where they're taking less than they could have gotten 2 months ago.
And been already bought, sold, something.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
a lot of people, and that's where the conflict comes with people wanting to have the market we had for the last 10 years and not believing that it's changed, that
Yes.
buyers cannot afford those prices anymore. And I don't think some sellers made that connection where they think, oh, well, someone's going to pay for it. And, you can educate people, but sometimes you find you do get into situations with certain clients where you think you're explaining, you think your communication skills are good, but then they come back and they give you something completely that you didn't recommend.
I try to reverse the situation sometimes with my sellers, and I'll be like, okay, like if you were the buyer and you were in this market, would you buy your house at that price? Knowing everything that we've put before you, and you're an educated buyer, because if you are buying and selling with that person and they're on the other side and they're putting a different hat on, often they'll change their perspective. Do you know what I mean?
I found it a lot of sometimes when you're talking to certain people, they think what's happening won't happen to them.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, that's them. That's not me.
Somehow they're special in all of this.
So it's just
So what do you think you could have done differently in this situation?
probably just been more firm. I think at the time, where been like, I'm not joking. This is
Yeah.
actually happening.
And
And
didn't they have an offer?
oh yeah, we had an offer and they didn't take it. They didn't
Yeah.
like it was. And now like that was the market was telling you what it was worth,
Oh,
and it just turned into
And now they're going to have to accept less.
oh for sure.
than the original. That's such a
Yeah.
it's such a story that we get all the time.
And people don't understand, like, we've done this before. And I think that's the problem. Like, maybe there's a lack of trust in that.
I wish there was no stigma towards us where it's like, oh, they just want to make a sale.
Well, the problem is there are agents who are like that.
Yeah.
So the stigma comes from somewhere.
I know, but how much more can you show somebody? Like that's where it gets me a little like off guard. Like what have I done to show you that I'm just trying to make a sale?
But it's, you know what it is? Once you've done that, then you have to have boundaries, because that's the only way they're going to trust you. Believe it or not, think about even a personal relationship, right? If you keep letting somebody kind of take advantage or not trust you and you don't put a boundary, then they trust you less, right? Because if you
That's
don't
a
value
precedent.
yourself and if you don't trust in yourself enough to say, no, I'm not going to do this anymore, then how are they going to trust in you? You know what I mean? Like we are taught to like, we're such people pleasers, right? We just want to make them happy. We want their approval. We want to feel like we did a good job. And that's great. But for me, what I've learned, and we've all been there, right? But what I've learned is I have to feel like I did a good job. I have to feel good about myself and then set a boundary where I feel like something is being taken advantage of or I'm not being heard or respected as a professional. Like you hired me to help you. But if you're not allowing me to, then I can't do my job.
Yeah.
And I don't want to feel like I'm not doing my job. I don't want to feel like I'm doing you a disservice. So I would rather remove myself from that situation. And we each made our choices, right?
They have to understand they hired an expert.
Yeah.
You're the expert, not them. Right. So if you're showing them and you're giving them the guidance and they're not listening, then that's their decision. It really.
That's how I've been feeling the whole time. Like I was like, how much more communication can I do? Like weekly updates, showing, explaining to them, going and seeing properties, giving them feedback. Like, so at some point it's just how do you It's just a learning situation for myself, where how to deal with someone like this and what I'm going to do differently next time.
One of the things that my mother used to say to me, and my mom was in real estate for a long time, and she was a bit of a badass.
A tiny little
She was a
badass.
tiny little badass. Yeah, she's not even 5 feet tall, but she was a bully. That's wrong. She wasn't a bully. She was just really tough, and she stood up for herself and what she believed. And oftentimes in this situation, she would tell the seller, "Congratulations, you just bought your house back for that price." If they didn't take an offer that she knew was the right offer for them. So she'd be like, "Okay, you just bought your house. Congrats." And that would be the end. She would just walk away from the deal. And that always stood out to me in my head.
Wait, what am I missing? How did they buy their house?
So in a situation where she got an offer and they turned it away, even though it was the best offer at that time.
Yeah.
My mom would say, okay, like if they couldn't come to a deal, she would say, "Congratulations, you just bought your own house back."
Oh, I get it. Okay.
At that
Okay,
price,
okay.
right? And that kind of always stood out to me because I was like, okay, that's because she would walk away from it. She'd be like, okay, well, I did my job.
Yeah.
You didn't listen to me.
Exactly.
And now you're in the position where you're actually going to take less than what you know. So you bought your house and now you're losing money.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, I get it now.
Yeah. Does that make sense? Or did
Yeah.
I explain it wrong?
No, you
yeah,
explained
I
it.
can understand
Yeah.
where she was coming with that for sure. Because now it's like, okay, well, that's what you think the value is, and you just pay for it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people would come back afterwards because she was in the
They
business
were
for-
probably confused too when she
They're
said that.
so
they were probably
confused.
confused. They're like, "What just happened?"
Yeah, but she would walk out the door. She wouldn't care. She'd be like, okay,
It's
well,
like-
I did
it's
my
like
job.
NLP. It's like NLP just confused them so much that they have no idea what's going on, and then they really start to
What
get
just
it after.
happened? But literally, they did. They just bought their house back for that price, and now they're going to sell it for less.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, which is unfortunate that people have to take that hard lesson. before
Why
they
are we
understand.
our own worst enemies in so many situations? Like we just set ourselves
I
up.
need to talk to the people pleaser side of me. Like
Yeah.
sometimes it's just like, oh, why do you like? It's you know what the answer is. Like,
Yeah.
and I think it's just the way you're brought up. Sometimes that
It
gets in the way.
And I was brought up like that too. And I used to be more like that. And it's taken me to really see how much of a disservice I'm doing myself and the other person, right? If I'm not being authentic, then I'm cheating myself and them out of an experience, out of an outcome, out of whatever is really supposed to happen. I'm not allowing for that to happen because I'm not being real. I'm not being authentic.
And then you spin out later. You know, you have
Yeah.
what if I did? What if
Yes.
later?
And most people will just point the finger and blame the other person. When in reality, like I've gotten to a point now where I always come back to myself and say, were you authentic? Did you speak your truth? Did you listen? Were you open? Did you have an open perspective? And did you check in with yourself? If you did all those things, whatever your intuition is telling you in that moment is your truth. Who knows if it's the right thing or not, but it's obviously the right thing for you in that moment. And that's how you get out of the people pleasing, being authentic, right? And I can be a bit of a jerk sometimes. I know you never noticed that, but it's hard to believe.
You know.
But you know what though? People appreciate it because they know that I have a good heart. It's always coming from a good place. And you'd be shocked at how much you can actually say to people and they appreciate it.
I think people know you're a giant marshmallow inside. Anybody
tell
who knows her
people.
knows that she's a marshmallow. She's tough on the exterior.
This is not supposed to go public.
We're all being vulnerable.
But you know what it is? It's like I have the experience of people not telling me the truth, you know, because they're afraid of my reaction or they're afraid. But I want to hear it, you know. So if you flip that, are you really helping anybody by trying to just do things to please them? To me, it actually feels like a betrayal. If you're doing something out of alignment with yourself to please me, you're not being real with me, and I don't like it.
I think you can almost use that analogy as a parent.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Or a pet or whatever it is you're trying to help or teach. By letting them do whatever they want to do, you're not helping them. You're not teaching them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like all you're doing is enabling a certain behavior.
Yeah.
Right?
And
So-
you're and with a kid, you're being an example of not being yourself and not speaking your truth.
Yep.
So
And
my kids are like, "Mom, don't say that." I'm like, "But that's my truth." They get
But I
a
think
little
that-
bit embarrassed sometimes, but they're seeing firsthand because they're taught to be people pleasers, right? but like they're seeing firsthand the outcome of actually just speaking your truth in a kind way.
Mm-hmm.
That's something I've learned. Just soften it up a little bit.
Communication
Just
skills, yeah.
Soften. I mean, anyway, they see
it's
that.
also it's not, you can be as truthful as you want. It's just the delivery.
The delivery.
The way you
It's the
deliver it,
delivery.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Because you could tell somebody the most awful news, but it was the way you deliver it.
Yeah.
You can have two different results.
Exactly. I think communication is key, and also I think being careful of enabling certain behaviors that you don't want to continue. And we
Yes.
do that with our clients, like the same way we would do with anything. Like we can say, if we allow a client to keep having their way, we're not doing them any favors. We're not teaching them like, you hired me as the expert. Let me show you what's right. You telling me what's right when you're not the expert doesn't work.
Yeah.
Doesn't work.
You'd be shocked at some of the things I've said to my clients, and they still love me. They still want to work with me. I've told them like it is. I've told them straight up, of course, in a professional and kind way, but I've just said, you're making a mistake, and I really do not want to represent you in this mistake. So, there's your choice. I've literally said those things and walked away. I've refused to represent a client in a purchase because I thought it was the wrong move for them. I knew their whole situation and I knew it wasn't the right move. And I said, I do not want to be a part of this. So
Which I think is
Yeah.
fair. Like the last thing you want to do is sell a property to somebody who won't be able to afford it in a year.
yeah.
Like you're not doing anybody any favors.
No, and I want them to see how serious I am. Because if I'm willing to walk away, that's how serious I am. I want them to really, really see what's happening. I would only do that like if I'm 100% sure, obviously. I wouldn't do that in a situation where I'm questioning. I would give warnings, but if I'm like sure this is a mistake, I would walk away.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what we're supposed to do.
Yes,
You know,
exactly.
we're here
Know
to
when to
counsel
hold
people.
them, when know when to hold them.
Oh, yes. Who's going to
Kenny
start
Rogers?
singing?
Kenny Rogers?
I think so, yeah. Yeah.
No, we did
My
not.
Newfie family is
Did
gonna
we
be
really
so
just go
happy.
there?
We just quoted.
Did
Okay,
we
yeah.
just quote country music? That's awesome.
My in-laws are going to love it.
What are you guys doing? We're going into Christmas. Things are slowing down. It's a different market. What are you guys doing for self-care to keep yourself at your best, knowing that, we're going to take some time to just kind of recoup and regenerate. And then in January, likely things are going to pick up again. How are you preparing yourselves?
I'm actually enjoying the holidays. I actually have been. Normally, I'm a hamster on a wheel right now, just trying to end the year and like tie up loose ends and all that. And I found myself being able to just enjoy Christmas, decorate my tree. It's already decorated. Where normally I'm picking it up on the 20th, and it's been really nice actually. Just being
That's
able to
amazing.
just being able to enjoy
Be
the things
present.
that be present. I'm never. I don't think I'm very present a lot of the time.
I think that's a common problem with a lot of realtors is that we're always like running.
What's next?
What's next? Yeah. Like
you
you're
think
trying to
you'd have your
accommodate
whole
so
day
many
would
people.
be like you think your day would be free, and then all of a sudden you're like filling up your day, and like there's sometimes just no stop, no end to
And
it.
do you notice we don't celebrate our
wins.
wins? It's so important to do that. I was just actually saying that to another colleague who was complaining about his taxes. I was like, dude, you've never sold so much that you need to complain about your taxes. How about that? Like
Yeah.
that's just change your
Perspective.
perspective on that
Perspective.
situation, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think that's the same. You can say that about anything. I actually have it
Exactly.
tattooed on my hand. Perspective, reminder,
Yeah.
just like, hey, if I just look at this from a different lens, would I still see it the same way?
It's all perspective. I don't drink much anymore. And it's funny because I used to really enjoy it. And I just said to myself, what was the feeling that you really enjoyed about it? Right. And it was the moment where you're just carefree, right? And you're just not worrying about anything. You're not thinking.
Numb.
And no, not numb. For me, it was like I was in the moment feeling everything and just being there in the moment carefree. And I didn't drink to the point where I felt numb. I would just be a little bit buzzed. No comment over
hang
here.
in
No
my head in
comment
shame.
over here. But so what I realized is, you know what? We can actually create that feeling in life in general by surrendering and by just living in the moment. And really, like, it's amazing what you can do with your focus, right? And this is what we've been learning with our meditation and, you know, reading and our Joe Dispenza stuff and like all the mindfulness that we've been learning. For me, when I'm doing my breath work or yoga or any type of practice where I'm being very conscious and connected to myself and my body and my emotions and my energy, it makes such a huge difference in my mood, right? So this morning, I was actually having a really difficult morning. And so I knew that I had to go to the gym. I knew I didn't even have time really, but I knew I just have to do this. And I did it. And I just cut my prepared time in half, my hair. I just did some dry shampoo, but but like I had to adjust in order to make myself feel good, like what's going to actually help me with my mood today. And, most people would probably be like, I'm in a bad mood. And they just keep kind of like, snowballing that energy into, and then then you attract it, right? So it's like stopping and noticing, paying attention, being aware of how you're affected by things by being present, by being conscious in those moments, right? And not numbing and not just like dissociating and focusing on what you have to do and your lists, right? Just go with it and just obviously take care of your responsibilities. But
was that directed at me?
I don't know. Did I stare at you when I said it? Maybe. No, you've come a really long way.
Because I have a lot of lists.
Sometimes life is just going to give you a big kick in the butt.
Did I ever tell you when I realized, I'm like, oh, this woman's serious? It was like in the beginning of my career, and I did an open house for you or something, and there was leads that came from it. And we were like, oh, let's go meet let's go get pedicures. I was like, okay. And you showed up doing a pedicure and you were like, okay, now we got to call this person. Now we got to call this person. I was like, I thought we were just having a pedicure.
Oh no.
I am the queen of multitasking.
Yeah. Like you brought out this leather portfolio and we're like, okay, so you got to call George and you got to call this person. I was like,
that was probably like 10 years ago.
Oh, as I was saying, Mary Jo has come a very long way from that place. She still gets really excited about organizational things. Her eyes brighten up, and I'm like, oh God, I'm in trouble.
I'm not into clutter. Like everything has a spot. Like everything, like there's lists, there's like I'm definitely
I'm better with my lists. Like I actually now
have one.
No, I still have multiple.
But it's good to know what works for you, right?
Exactly.
Like there's things that make you feel good. I like to throw things out. I like to declutter. So when I'm feeling like heavy, you should see my room. You haven't seen my bedroom lately. I shifted everything around. I moved all my furniture. I got rid of stuff. I threw things out. I burnt things, and the alarm went off. But anyway, it was the energy of it. It just felt good.
One step from not cutting your hair.
Yes, I'm not cutting my hair. Damn it. It's not happening. No, but it's like whatever is going to make you feel good and make you feel. So for me, that's my foundation. If my space is clear, then I can pretty much go with the flow with most things, right? But when I feel like I'm getting overwhelmed because there's a lot to do, I will start writing things down, and then I never look at it again. But it's
just out of your head.
The process of it happening helps me.
I get serious dopamine rush from checking off things on my list.
I see you getting your dopamine rush.
Like I need to make a list and I feel good about it, and it's just always been. But I've been like that my whole life.
It's very cute. I love it.
Like it's always been, but I've always been.
It feels good.
I'm the organizer though. I've always been the organizer in my family, so that's just it's not going away.
No,
it's not going away.
I've learned to love it.
Yeah, you'd be in shambles.
I'm like, here, Mary Jo, do you want to organize this?
Yes.
She's like, yes. Okay.
I do like to
I'm going to put it in Trello, and then we're going to, and then I'm like, what's Trello again?
Yeah, dude, you gotta come over to the dark side. Trello's amazing.
Hey, what I'm doing is working for me.
But you can always look for improvement.
I look for improvement in different ways.
I know, but you're being one-sided too. Like you can open your mind to different things. It doesn't mean you have to do it. Yeah. It's just like you should look at it.
I look. I've looked.
No, you haven't. No, you haven't.
I've looked a couple of times. Okay. Cut.
No, I'm kidding. I just like, I'm just talking to the audience.
I've been there.
We're there.
Yeah. I love how much we're getting intimate and interactive in this podcast today. I think,
The first time I think
Yeah.
we've done this.
and I'm excited for us to do this more in the new year. I think our audience want to crave a little bit more of our opinions and what we're doing and how we're handling life and the world and especially real estate. And I think that's a great direction we should go into. So thank you for everybody for tuning in this week. Don't forget to subscribe, follow, share, all the good stuff. We appreciate all the positive feedback we're getting on our podcast, and we'll see you next week. Oh, and if you have any questions that we want us to answer, we're happy to hear from you. Bye.